Celebrity marriages and relationships are destined to fail, right? With all the scandals, temptations, fame, and nonstop pressure of Hollywood, plus the tabloids' love of a juicy breakup story, they're basically doomed. Except, nope, not all of them. Believe it or not, against all odds, some couples didn't just survive, they endured for decades. Even under the blazing spotlight, through the drama and chaos of clashing careers, kids, personalities, and oversized egos, these relationships found a way to last. And because there are so many of these surprisingly solid love stories, we're splitting this into two parts. Today, in part one, we're starting with some of the earliest and longest lasting Hollywood romances. The couples who prove that fame doesn't automatically mean failure. So get ready to delve into the love stories that outlive the red carpet, the paparazzi, and the rumor mill. Proof that even in the golden age of Hollywood, commitment can sometimes win. And action. Era 1. Classic Hollywood and early icons. Kirk Douglas and Ann Buydens, 66 years. 1954 to 2021. Decades of devotion, humor, and surviving Hollywood's highs and heartbreaks together. Kirk and Ann met in Paris in 1953 on the set of Act of Love. Ann, a multilingual film publicist and location scout, famously turned down the movie star's first dinner invitation so she could stay home and make scrambled eggs. They married a year later on May 29, 1954, at the Hotel Sahara in Las Vegas. They raised 4 sons, all of whom followed their father into the entertainment industry. Michael Douglas, born 1944, the most famous of the siblings, an Academy Award-winning actor and producer. Joel Douglas, born 1947, built his career behind the camera as a film producer and production manager. Peter Douglas, born 1955, an Emmy Award-winning television and film producer. Eric Douglas, 1958 to 2004. Before his passing, he worked as an actor and stand-up comedian. Kirk and Ann's partnership was defined by resilience and philanthropy, particularly through the Douglas Foundation in Harry's Haven, an Alzheimer's care unit they funded at the Motion Picture and Television Fund. Their marriage endured until Kirk's death on February 5, 2020 at age 103, with Ann following him on April 29, 2021 at age 102. Ossie Davis and Ruby D, 56 years, 1948 to 2005. Love and purpose intertwined, a marriage built on activism, art, and family. Ossie and Ruby met in 1946 while working on the Broadway play Jeb in New York City, where they shared passion for theater and social justice, sparked both friendship and romance. They married on December 9, 1948 in Jersey City, New Jersey, forming a true partnership that balanced love, activism, and careers during the era of segregation and the civil rights movement. They raised 3 children who have continued their legacy of creativity and activism. Nora Day Davis, born 1950, a motivational speaker, cultural liaison, and community activist who frequently participates in events honoring her parents' work in the civil rights movement. Guy Davis, born 1952, a Grammy-nominated musician, singer-songwriter, and actor. A renowned acoustic blues artist, he plays banjo and guitar and has appeared in numerous stage productions and films. Hasna Davis Mohammed, born 1954, an actress, writer, and activist who often speaks publicly about her parents' history and has appeared in documentaries and theater productions centered on social justice. The couple's partnership was deeply rooted in activism. They were close friends of Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X and played key roles in organizing the 1963 March on Washington. Their marriage endured until Ossie's death on February 4, 2005 at age 87, with Ruby continuing their shared mission and legacy until her passing on June 11, 2014 at age 91. Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward, 50 years, 1958 to 2008. Hollywood beauty met real-world integrity and built a love story that outlasted fame. Paul and Joanne met in 1953 as understudies on Broadway, but their real connection ignited in 1957 while filming The Long Hot Summer. Despite Joanne's initial skepticism to his too handsome looks, they fell in love and married on January 29, 1958 at the El Rancho Vegas Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. They eloped shortly after Paul's divorce from his first wife was finalized and while both were transitioning between film projects. They had 3 daughters together: Eleanor Nell Newman, born 1959, an environmentalist and biologist. She is the co-founder of Newman's Own Organics and an advocate for sustainable agriculture. Melissa Lissy Newman, born 1961, an artist and singer who works to preserve her parents' humanitarian legacy. Claire Clea Newland Soderlund, born 1965, ambassador for the Serious Fun Children's Network, continuing her father's work with camps for seriously ill children. Paul also had 3 children from his first marriage: Scott Newman, 1950 to 1978, an actor and stuntman, The Towering Inferno, who tragically died of a drug overdose. Susan Kendall Newman, born 1953, a documentary filmmaker and former actress who has led several nonprofit organizations. Stephanie Newman, born 1954, largely stayed out of the public eye, choosing a private life. Paul and Joanne's partnership remained unbreakable until Paul's death from lung cancer on September 26, 2008, at age 83. Joanne continued her acting and philanthropic work, championing addiction recovery programs and supporting educational initiatives. Now in her mid-90s, she holds the distinction of being the oldest living winner of the Academy Award for Best Actress. Their enduring marriage cemented them as Hollywood's gold standard of devotion. Mel Brooks and Anne Bancroft, 41 years, 1964 to 2005. Comedy, creativity, and one son later, a partnership that lasted in laughter and love. Mel and Anne met in 1961 during a rehearsal for the Perry Como variety show and married on August 5, 1964 at the Manhattan Marriage Bureau. Their marriage thrived on mutual respect and humor, surviving the pressures of 2 massive careers and Anne's long battle with illness. Mel often cited Anne as his guiding force and the inspiration behind many of his iconic works. They had one son, Max Brooks, born in 1972, who is now a best-selling author known for titles like World War Z. Their partnership endured until Anne's death on June 6, 2005, at age 73 from uterine cancer. As of 2026, Mel is 99 years old and he's still working, recently releasing Mel Brooks, the 99-Year-Old Man. Mel also continues to honor Anne's legacy through his ongoing work in theater and film, remaining one of the most celebrated figures in entertainment history. Red carpets, camera flashes, and theater curtains aside, these classic Hollywood marriages prove that laughter, patience, and partnership can outlast even Hollywood's brightest spotlight. Era 2. Public figures and power couples. Being in the public eye isn't just a Hollywood problem, Some of the most enduring marriages belong to those who literally have the world watching. Jimmy and Rosalind Carter, 77 years, 1946 to 2024. From planes to the White House, their marriage thrived on teamwork and trust. Jimmy and Rosalind grew up as neighbors in Plains, Georgia, and married there on July 7, 1946, shortly after Jimmy's graduation from the U.S. Naval Academy. Together, they raised 4 children who went on to varied careers in business, politics, and the arts. John William Jack Carter, born 1947. Jack was a former naval officer and attorney who worked in investment and grain businesses. He later ran as the Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate in Nevada in 2006. James Earl Chip Carter III, born 1950. Chip worked for the Democratic National Committee and managed his father's peanut warehouse in Plains before pursuing a career in business and public relations. Donald Jeffrey Jeff Carter, born 1952. Their third son, Jeff, a former computer mapping consultant, he has largely lived a private life. In 2024, he began living with Parkinson's disease, managed with deep brain stimulation therapy. Amy Carter, born 1967. Amy grew up in the White House and became a political activist in the 1980s and 90s. She later illustrated her father's children's book, The Little Baby Snooglefleer, and now focuses on family life and work with the Carter Center. After their parents' passing, the Carter children have continued to honor the family legacy through the Jimmy Carter Presidential Library and Museum and the family's ongoing humanitarian efforts. Rosalind was famously Jimmy's closest advisor, a partnership that extended far beyond the White House through the founding of the Carter Center and decades of volunteer work with Habitat for Humanity. Their extraordinary union lasted until Rosalind's death on November 19, 2023, at age 96. Jimmy, the longest-lived U.S. president, died on December 29, 2024, at age 100. Following a national day of mourning, he was laid to rest beside his commander-in-chief at their home in Plains in January 2025. Nancy and Ronald Reagan, 52 years, 1952 to 2004. Hollywood charm met political partnership, loyalty through it all. Ron and Nancy met on November 15, 1949, but didn't begin dating until 1951. Sparks flew from the start, and they married in a private ceremony on March 4, 1952, at the Little Brown Church in Studio City, California, with actor William Holden serving as best man. Together, they blended and raised a family that included Patty Davis, born 1952, their daughter, who became an author, actress, and screenwriter. Ron Reagan Jr., 1958 to 2026, a television journalist, political commentator, and former ballet dancer with the Joffrey Ballet. He was a frequent MSNBC contributor and an outspoken advocate for embryonic stem cell research. Maureen Reagan, 1941 to 2001, Ronald's daughter from his first marriage to Jane Wyman. She was a political activist, author, and radio talk show host who served as co-chair of the Republican National Committee and led the U.S. delegation to the 1985 UN Decade for Women Conference. She died on August 8, 2001 at age 60 from complications of melanoma. Michael Reagan, 1945 to 2026. Ronald's adopted son from his marriage to Jane Wyman. A conservative radio host and author, he founded the Reagan Group and worked as a political strategist until his passing in early 2026. Christine Reagan, 1947, Ron and Jane Wyman's second daughter, who was born prematurely on June 26, 1947, and tragically passed away later that same day. Ron and Nancy's partnership was famously devoted. Ron once wrote that he only wished that there was some way I could spare Nancy from the pain of his Alzheimer's diagnosis in 1994. Their marriage endured until Ronald's death on June 5, 2004, at age 93. Nancy remained a fierce protector of his legacy through the Reagan Presidential Foundation until her passing on March 6, 2016, at age 94. Their bond remains one of the most recognizable examples of personal and political devotion in American history. Era 3. Music and creative couples. Now let's turn the volume up. Rock stars, country legends, and pop icons. Some of these marriages survived fame, long tours, and groupies, and still came home to each other. Dolly Parton and Carl Dean, 58 years, 1966 to 2025. Private, steadfast, and devoted. Love without the spotlight stealing the show. Dolly met Carl outside the wishy-washy laundromat in Nashville on her very first day in town in 1964. They married 2 years later on May 30th, 1966 at the Ringgold Baptist Church in Georgia, a quiet ceremony chosen to avoid the press and her record label's demands for publicity. Though they never had children, Dolly has often said this allowed her to become everyone's mother through her Imagination Library literacy program. As Dolly's career took off, she rose to fame on The Porter Wagoner Show, where their musical partnership helped launch her into stardom before she famously went solo with I Will Always Love You. She later crossed into Hollywood with her breakout film role in 9 to 5 in 1980, which she also wrote and performed the theme song for, proving she was just as powerful on screen as she was on the stage. While Dolly became a global icon, Carl fiercely guarded his privacy and rarely appeared in public. Their legendary marriage endured until Carl's passing on March 3, 2025, at age 82. In January 2026, Dolly celebrated her 80th birthday, and to mark the occasion, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee officially proclaimed the date as Dolly Parton Day across the state. Just days after Carl's death, Dolly released the emotional ballad If You Hadn't Been There, a tribute to their 60 years of love. Their love story remains a powerful testament to a partnership built far from the cameras and stronger because of it. Sting and Trudy Styler. Been together about 43 years since 1982, married 33 years, 1992 to present. Music, activism, and family, thriving together across fame and creativity. Though they first crossed paths in their London neighborhood in the late 1970s, Sting and Trudy's romantic journey officially began in 1982. They married on August 20th, 1992, in a civil ceremony at the Camden Registry Office in London, followed by a church blessing in Wiltshire 2 days later. Together they raised 4 children. Brigitte Michael Mickey Sumner, born 1984, a successful actress best known for her breakout role in Frances Ha and her starring role as Bess Till in Snowpiercer. Jake Sumner, born 1985, a film director and former model who has directed documentaries and commercial projects for major fashion brands and music labels. Elliot Coco Paulina Sumner, born 1990, a musician and actor whose career began in music under the stage name I Blame Coco before expanding into acting, with notable appearances in No Time to Die in 2021 and Ripley in 2024. Giacomo Sumner, born 1995. He graduated with a criminal justice degree in 2020, but is a prominent actor in movies like We're Going to the Zoo. Sting also has 2 children from his previous relationship. Joe Sumner, born 1976, a singer-songwriter and bassist who fronts the band Fiction Plane. He has frequently toured with his dad, and is also a tech entrepreneur, having founded the soccer app Viclo. Fuchsia Catherine Kate Sumner, born 1982, an actress, director, and producer who has appeared in films such as Saving Mr. Banks and Billionaire Boys Club, and works in production between London and Los Angeles. She married surfer and photographer Ben Bronson in 2016. Sting and Trudy's partnership is defined by their deep commitment to environmentalism through the Rainforest Foundation Fund and a shared lifestyle rooted in yoga and their Tuscan estate, Il Palagio. As of 2026, they remain one of the industry's most stable and creatively driven couples, dividing their time between New York, England, and Italy, while continuing to support global humanitarian causes. Paul and Linda McCartney, 29 years, 1969 to 1998. Beatlemania couldn't break them. Music and family kept them strong. Paul McCartney met photographer Linda Eastman in 1967 at the Bag O' Nails Club in London, and they married on March 12, 1969 at the Old Marylebone Town Hall in central London. Together they raised 4 children. Heather McCartney, born 1962, Linda's daughter from her first marriage to Melville C., whom Paul adopted in 1969. She is a potter and artist, and in the late 1990s launched the Heather McCartney Houseware Collection. Mary McCartney, born 1969, a world-renowned photographer and filmmaker following in her mother's footsteps. She is also a food consultant and author for the Meat Free Monday campaign and directed the 2022 documentary If These Walls Could Sing about Abbey Road Studios. Stella McCartney, born 1971, a pioneering fashion designer in ethical, sustainable luxury fashion. She launched her eponymous brand in 2001 and remains a leading advocate for vegan materials in the industry. James McCartney, born 1977, a musician and singer-songwriter who has contributed to his father's albums, Flaming Pie, Driving Rain, and released several solo EPs and studio albums, including Me and the Blackberry Train. Paul also has a daughter from his second marriage to Heather Mills, Beatrice Millie McCartney, born 2003. She has mostly remained out of the public eye, but occasionally joins her father at events and is known to play the saxophone and flute. The McCartney family continues to honor Linda's legacy of animal rights and vegetarianism through Linda McCartney Foods. Paul often called Linda his guiding star, and their marriage endured the pressures of Beatlemania, fame, and public scrutiny until Linda's death from breast cancer on April 17, 1998, at age 56. Paul continues to honor her legacy through Linda McCartney Foods, his 2021 photo book, 1964 Eyes of the Storm, and frequent tributes during live performances. As of 2026, he is still married to his third wife, Nancy Chevelle, whom he wed on October 9, 2011. Faith Hill and Tim McGraw, 29 years. 1996 to present. Country royalty side by side for decades, blending music, family, and love that hits all the right notes. Faith and Tim first crossed paths in 1994, but their connection truly ignited in 1996 when Faith joined Tim's Spontaneous Combustion Tour as an opening act. Faith was actually engaged to someone else at the start of that tour, but famously followed her heart to be with Tim. They married on October 6, 1996, in a surprise ceremony at Tim's aunt's home in Rayville, Louisiana. Tim frequently posts heartfelt tributes to Faith on social media, often calling her the backbone of their family. Together they raised 3 daughters, all pursuing creative paths. Gracie Catherine, born 1997, an actress and singer currently pursuing Broadway in New York City. She has become a social media favorite for her incredible Broadway covers and open discussions about PCOS and health. Maggie Elizabeth, born 1998. She holds a master's degree from Stanford University and works in environmental research and policy. In addition to her Stanford degree, she previously fronted a rock band called Sister Harper during her college years. Audrey Caroline, born 2001. A model and budding singer-songwriter who made her acting debut on the TV series Landman. She previously appeared in her father's music video for 7500 OBO and has been modeling in Europe, where she's developed a reputation for her high fashion, editorial aesthetic. Over nearly 3 decades, Faith and Tim have balanced independent superstardom with historic collaborations, including their record-breaking Soul to Soul tours and the 2021 series 1883, where they played husband and wife on screen. Celebrating their 29th anniversary in October 2025, Tim reflected that Faith remained his complete soulmate, a sentiment that continues to define their enduring partnership. Vince Gill and Amy Grant, 25 years, 2000 to present. Second chance love built on family, faith, and patience. Vince and Amy first met in the early 1990s when Vince joined Amy's touring band and the two collaborated on her hit song, House of Love. At the time, both were married to other people, and their connection grew slowly as a deep friendship rooted in music and faith. After their marriages ended, they reconnected and married on March 10, 2000, blending a family of 5 children and beginning a new chapter together. They celebrated their silver wedding anniversary on March 10, 2025, and there's even discussions about co-headlining a 2026 world tour. They are widely considered Nashville's most beloved couple, noted for their resilience and grace. Their blended family includes Jenny Gill, born 1982, Vince's daughter with Janice Oliver. A country singer and songwriter, she released the EP The House Sessions, which was a significant solo milestone, and frequently performs as a backup singer for her father and other Nashville artists. Matthew Garrison Chapman, born 1987, Amy's son with Gary Chapman. He has been involved in the Nashville business scene, notably as Chief of Operations for Lab Canna, a pioneering hemp and CBD company in Tennessee. Gloria Mills Millie Chapman Long, born 1989, Amy's daughter with Gary Chapman. A mother of 2, she famously inspired Amy's hit song Baby Baby and remains active in the Nashville community and creative circles. Sarah Cannon Chapman Buzziness, born 1992, Amy's daughter with Gary Chapman. She married Derek Buzziness in 2019 and works in professional marketing and creative fields within the entertainment industry. Karina Grant Gill, born 2001, the only child from Vince and Amy's marriage. A rising singer-songwriter, she frequently performs on stage with both parents and gains social media fame for her soulful vocal performances during their Ryman Auditorium residencies. Amy and Vince's charitable work is extensive, with Amy often hosting events at her farm, Hidden Trace, and Vince supporting various veteran and children's causes. They remain pillars of the Nashville community, known for their annual Christmas residency at the Ryman Auditorium and a partnership rooted in mutual creative respect. And that's where we'll leave part 1 of Hollywood's Happily Ever Afters, with proof that even in an industry built on image and impulse, real love can still be the closing credits. But we're not done yet, because there are many more Hollywood couples who beat the odds. And in part 2, we'll dive into more long-lasting romances, including some you might not expect. So if you enjoyed this walk through Hollywood's most enduring love stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss part 2. And tell me in the comments, which couple surprised you the most so far? And until next time, keep believing in the happily ever afters.